The Body Keeps the Score. Brain, Mind, and Body in the Healing of Trauma, by Bessel van der Kolk, MD. Introduction. Imagine this for a moment. It's the 4th of July weekend. The air is warm, thick with the smell of barbecue and freshly cut grass. Laughter spills from a backyard picnic. But for one man, a successful lawyer named Tom, this celebration is a private hell. Instead of being with his family, he's holed up in his office, drinking. The pop of fireworks isn't a celebration. It's the crack of gunfire in a distant jungle. The dense summer foliage isn't beautiful. It's the terrifying green wall of a Vietnam rice paddy where, 10 years earlier, he watched every member of his platoon get killed or wounded. At home, he's a stranger. He feels a glass wall between himself and the wife and sons he's supposed to love. The noise of his own children playing fills him with such uncontrollable agitation that he has to storm out of the house, terrified he might hurt them. At night, sleep offers no escape. The nightmares are relentless. He sees dead children. He sees his friends falling. He feels trapped in a moment that ended a decade ago. Outwardly, Tom is a pillar of success. A decorated Marine, a law school graduate, a family man. But inside, he feels dead. This isn't just a bad memory. It's a ghost that has taken over his body. His heart races, his muscles tense, and rage boils up without warning. He feels like a monster. And the most terrifying part? He has no idea why. This is the central mystery we're going to explore today. A mystery that drive. Bessel van der Kolk, a pioneering psychiatrist and scientist, has spent his life unraveling. His book, The Body Keeps the Score, isn't just a bestseller that has sold millions of copies, it is a revolution in our understanding of human suffering. For decades, we believed that trauma was a story, something that happened in the past that we needed to talk about, to process with our minds. But what if that's only half the truth? What if trauma isn't just in our memories, but in our bodies? What if it lives in our nervous system, our hormones, our immune response, and the very way we breathe? By the end of our time together today, you will understand a profound and life-changing secret about how your body and mind are connected. You will learn why traumatic experiences can leave us feeling fragmented and at war with ourselves, and why simply talking about them often isn't enough. Most importantly, you will discover the incredible, evidence-based paths to healing that can help anyone, not just combat veterans, but survivors of accidents, abuse, or neglect, truly leave the past behind and reclaim their lives. This is a journey into the deepest parts of what makes us human. And it holds the key to not just surviving, but thriving. Book summary. When a young Bessel van der Kolk first met Tom at the Boston Veterans Administration Clinic in 1978, he did what any well-trained doctor would do. He heard the story of the nightmares and prescribed a pill. 2 weeks later, Tom came back. He hadn't taken a single one. Why not? The doctor asked, a little irritated. Tom's answer changed the course of van der Kolk's life. He said, I realize that if I take the pills and the nightmares go away, I will have abandoned my friends, and their deaths will have been in vain. I need to be a living memorial to my friends who died in Vietnam. In that moment, van der Kolk realized he wasn't just treating a chemical imbalance or a bad memory. He was facing a soul that was frozen in time, held captive by loyalty and horror. Tom's war didn't end when he flew home. It had taken up residence inside his body. His life, from that point forward, was organized around the trauma. This is the essence of what we now call post-traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD. It's not about the story of what happened. It's about the body continuing to live as if it is still happening, right now. To understand this, we need to take a journey deep inside the human brain. Imagine your brain isn't one single unit, but 3 brains, stacked on top of each other. each from a different stage of our evolution. At the very bottom, in the brainstem, is the most ancient part, the reptilian brain. This is our survival machine. It's in charge of the basics: breathing, heartbeat, hunger, sleep. It's the brain of pure instinct, the part that's online from the moment we're born. It doesn't think, it just reacts. Above that is the mammalian brain, or the limbic system. This is the seat of our emotions. It's our brain smoke detector. Its job is to constantly scan the environment and ask one question: is this safe or is this dangerous? It's the source of joy, love, fear, and rage. It's what connects us to others, what makes us bond with our parents and protect our children. And finally, on the very top, is the newest part of the brain, the neocortex. This is the rational, thinking brain. It's what makes us human. It's where language, abstract thought, and planning live. This is the part of your brain that's listening to my voice right now, making sense of these words. The neocortex is the brain's watchtower. It can look down on the raw emotions of the mammalian brain and say, "Okay, I feel angry, but I'm not going to punch that person. I'm going to take a deep breath." Under normal circumstances, these three brains work in harmony. The watchtower keeps an eye on the smoke detector, and the survival machine just keeps the engine running. But when trauma strikes, this beautiful symphony collapses into chaos. When you are faced with an overwhelming threat, a car crash, an assault, the horrors of a battlefield, the reptilian and mammalian brains take over completely. The watchtower, your rational brain, goes offline. It has to. In a life or death moment, you don't have time to think. You just need to react. Your body is flooded with stress hormones like adrenaline and cortisol, preparing you for one of three options: fight, flight, or freeze. Your heart pounds, your muscles tense, your breathing becomes shallow. This is your body's ancient, brilliant survival system at work. If you can fight off the attacker or run to safety, your body will eventually burn off those stress hormones, and your brain will return to normal. The watchtower comes back online. The event becomes a story, a memory of something terrible that happened in the past. But what happens when you can't escape? What if you are a child being held down by an adult, or a soldier pinned under fire? This is what scientists call inescapable shock. When your survival actions are blocked, your body keeps pumping out stress hormones, but they have nowhere to go. The alarm system gets stuck in the on position. The body doesn't get the signal that the danger is over. And this is the secret of trauma. The body keeps fighting a war that has already ended. Drive. Van der Kolk and his colleagues wanted to see this in action. Using new brain imaging technology, they conducted a groundbreaking experiment. They invited people with PTSD to lie in a brain scanner. Then, they played a recording, a script detailing their personal trauma. What they saw was astonishing. The moment the script began, the emotional brain, the limbic system, lit up like a Christmas tree. The amygdala, the brain's smoke detector, started screaming, "Danger! Danger!" The patient's heart rate and blood pressure shot up. Physiologically, their bodies were reacting as if the trauma were happening all over again, right there in the scanner. But the most shocking discovery was what wasn't happening. A key part of the rational brain, the watchtower, had gone completely dark. Specifically, a region called Broca's area, one of the brain's primary speech centers, shut down. This is the biological reality of speechless terror. When you are reliving a trauma, you are literally unable to put your feelings into words. You may scream, you may cry, but you can't articulate the experience. The part of your brain that creates stories and narratives is offline. This explains why so many trauma survivors struggle to talk about what happened. It's not that they don't want to, it's that their brain won't let them. The trauma isn't stored as a coherent story with a beginning, middle, and end. It's stored as fragmented sensory imprints, a terrifying image, the smell of alcohol, the feeling of being held down, the sound of breaking glass. These are not memories, they are flashbacks. They don't feel like something from the past, they feel like something happening right now. The brain scans also revealed another clue. During a flashback, the right side of the brain was highly active, while the left side was quiet. The right brain is our intuitive, emotional, non-verbal brain. It thinks in pictures, sounds, and feelings. The left brain is our logical, analytical, language-based brain. It organizes experience into sequences and stories. In trauma, the left brain, the storyteller, gets knocked out, and the right brain, the emotional sensor, takes over. People become stuck in the pure, raw, unprocessed experience of the trauma. This leads to two devastating patterns of response. Some people, like Tom the veteran, live in a state of hyperarousal. They are jumpy, irritable, and prone to rage. Their smoke detector is always on, seeing threats everywhere. But there's another response, which is just as damaging. Dissociation. This is what happened to a woman named Ute, who survived a horrific '87 car pileup. When she was put in the brain scanner and heard the script of the accident, her brain did the opposite of what her husband Stan's brain did. Instead of lighting up with fear, almost every area of her brain went dark. She went numb. She felt nothing. Her brain simply shut down. This is the freeze response. When fight or flight are not possible, the body's last-ditch survival effort is to play dead. It's an extreme form of disconnection. People who dissociate describe feeling like they are watching their life from a distance, as if in a movie. They feel unreal, detached from their bodies and their emotions. This is what allowed you to survive the unbearable terror of the car crash, but it left her feeling empty and disconnected from life itself. So, you have these two extremes, being overwhelmed by emotion or feeling nothing at all. Most trauma survivors swing between the two. They live on a pendulum of chaos and numbness. And the core of this problem, van der Kolk argues, begins long before a car crash or a battlefield. It often begins in childhood, in the very relationships that are meant to keep us safe. We are born completely helpless, utterly dependent on our caregivers. Our brains are not pre-wired, they are sculpted by our earliest experiences. A baby's sense of safety and regulation is built through a beautiful, rhythmic dance with their parent, a process called attunement. Imagine a mother cooing at her baby. The baby smiles back. The mother's voice rises in a playful tone. The baby kicks its legs in excitement. Their heartbeats, their breathing, even their brain waves fall into sync. In this dance, the baby's brain learns a fundamental lesson. I am seen. I am understood. I am safe. This secure attachment becomes the foundation, the secure base, from which a child can confidently explore the world. But what if that dance is disrupted? What if the parent is depressed, or addicted, or overwhelmed by their own trauma? What if they are neglectful or, even worse, abusive? The baby's brain learns a different lesson. It learns that the world is a dangerous and unpredictable place. It learns that its cries for help will be ignored, or met with anger. It learns that the very person it depends on for survival is also a source of terror. This is an impossible, unsolvable dilemma for a child. A scared animal will run home. But what if home is the scariest place of all? The child can't fight. They can't flee. So their brain adapts. They learn to shut down, to dissociate. They learn to ignore their own feelings, their own bodily sensations, because those feelings are unbearable. They develop what's called disorganized attachment. They might be clingy one moment and aggressive the next. They can't figure out how to get their needs met. Their alarm system is permanently dialed up, and their ability to regulate their emotions is severely damaged. This isn't just a psychological theory. It has profound biological consequences. This is what the landmark Adverse Childhood Experiences Study, or ACE study, revealed. Researchers asked over 17,000 adults 10 simple questions about their childhood, things like physical or sexual abuse, neglect, or growing up with a parent who was an alcoholic or mentally ill. The results were shocking. Adverse childhood experiences were incredibly common, even in this mostly white, middle-class population. And the higher a person's ACE score, the higher their risk for a whole host of problems in adulthood. Not just depression and suicide attempts, but also alcoholism, drug use, obesity, heart disease, cancer, and liver disease. The trauma of childhood gets written into our biology. The body keeps the score. A person who was abused as a child doesn't just have a bad memory, they have a body that has been shaped for a world of danger. Their nervous system is on high alert. Their stress hormone levels are out of balance. Even their immune system can be compromised. This brings us to the unbearable heaviness of remembering. If trauma is stored as fragmented sensations and emotions, not as a story, how do people ever make sense of it? Van der Kolk tells the story of Julian, a young man who was sexually abused by a priest as a child. For over a decade, he had seemingly forgotten the abuse. He just knew he hated his body, that he was a poor student, and that he felt bad about himself. Then, one day, his girlfriend mentioned a news story about that same priest being under investigation. Suddenly, Julian was plunged into a panic. He had a flash of an image, the priest silhouetted in a doorway. Over the next week, his mind was flooded with fragments. The red velvet cushion in a room at the church. The feeling of a finger inside him. The priest's face. There was no coherent story, just a storm of images, sensations, and overwhelming terror. He started having seizures. He felt like he was losing his mind. This is what happens when dissociated memories break through. They don't return as a neat narrative. They return as a chaotic, terrifying replay of the original event. The body relives the experience. This is why the talking cure, on its own, often fails. You can't talk your body out of feeling what it feels. You can understand intellectually that the past is over, but your emotional brain, your smoke detector, is still screaming fire. You can't reason with a fire alarm. You have to find a way to reset it. So, how do we do that? This is the hopeful and revolutionary second half of the book. Van der Kolk argues that healing from trauma must involve the body. We need bottom-up approaches that can change our visceral, physical experience, as well as top-down approaches that involve our thinking minds. One of the most powerful bottom-up approaches is yoga. He tells the story of Annie, a woman so terrified by her childhood abuse that she could barely speak or make eye contact. Her body was a prison of tension and fear. She tried yoga, and at first, it was terrifying. Simply being in certain postures made her feel vulnerable and triggered flashbacks. But she persisted. In yoga, you are gently encouraged to pay attention to your body. To notice your breath. To feel the sensations in your muscles as you stretch. For someone who has spent a lifetime trying to ignore their body, this is a radical act. Annie wrote to her therapist, "This week I tried doing yoga at home and the words came to me, 'Your body has things to say.' I said back to myself, 'I will try and listen.'" Yoga teaches you to tolerate your physical sensations. You learn that feelings, like yoga poses, are temporary. They rise, they peak, and they fall. By staying with the physical discomfort of a pose, you learn that you can endure it. This builds a sense of mastery over your own body. It teaches your brain that you can have intense sensations and still be safe. You learn to befriend the body that you once saw as your enemy. Brain studies have now shown that yoga can actually change your brain, increasing activity in the areas that regulate emotion and self-awareness. Another approach that works directly with the brain's wiring is neurofeedback. This sounds like science fiction, but it's remarkably simple. You have electrodes placed on your scalp that read your brainwaves. Those brainwaves are translated into a video game on a screen. When your brain produces calm, focused brainwaves, you make the spaceship in the game move forward. When your brain is agitated or unfocused, the spaceship stops. Your brain, without any conscious effort on your part, wants to win the game. It wants the reward. So it starts to figure out how to produce more of the calm, focused brainwaves. You are literally training your brain to regulate itself. Van der Kolk shares the incredible story of Lisa, a young woman who was so traumatized by her psychotic mother that she spent her teenage years in and out of mental hospitals, self-harming and dissociating so badly she didn't know who she was. Talk therapy was impossible for her. She was too chaotic. After starting neurofeedback, her brain began to calm down. The constant hum of anxiety faded. She stopped dissociating. For the first time, she felt stable enough to actually talk about her past. She said, "Neurofeedback freed me up to live my life the way I want to, because I'm not always in the thrall of how I was hurt and what it did to me." She went on to graduate at the top of her nursing school class. While bottom-up methods calm the body and brain, we still need ways to process the traumatic memories themselves. This is where a therapy called EMDR, or eye movement desensitization and reprocessing, comes in. This is another therapy that sounds strange but has been proven to be incredibly effective. In EMDR, a person calls to mind a traumatic memory while following the therapist's finger as it moves back and forth. For some reason that we don't fully understand, these bilateral eye movements seem to unlock the brain's own information processing system. It's almost like it mimics the REM sleep our brains use every night to process the day's events. The memory doesn't go away, but its emotional charge is neutralized. It becomes integrated into the larger story of your life. It becomes a memory of something that happened in the past, instead of a terrifying present-day reality. Van der Kolk tells the story of David, a contractor whose eye was stabbed out with a broken beer bottle when he was a young man. For 30 years, he was haunted by flashbacks and uncontrollable rage. After just a few sessions of EMDR, the memory lost its intensity. He said, "I remember it. But it was more distant. Typically, I drowned in it, but this time I was floating on top." The memory was finally processed. But healing isn't just about calming the body and processing memories. It's also about reconnecting with others. Trauma destroys the social engagement system that makes us feel human. This is where communal activities like theater come in. In theater, you have to be in your body. You have to synchronize your movements and your voice with others. You get to step into the shoes of another person and experience their emotions in a safe, structured way. For traumatized kids who feel invisible and powerless, being part of a cast, working together to create something, and being seen and applauded by an audience can be a profoundly transformative experience of agency and belonging. Finally, we have to address the inner world, the complex landscape of our minds. A therapy called Internal Family Systems, or IFS, sees the mind as being made up of different parts. We all have these parts. A part of you might be ambitious and driven. Another part might just want to curl up and watch TV. In trauma, these parts become extreme and go to war with each other. There are the exiles, the young, vulnerable parts that hold all the pain and shame of the trauma. Then there are the managers, the protective parts that try to keep the exiles locked away by making you a perfectionist or a people pleaser. And then there are the firefighters, the emergency responders that jump into action when an exile gets triggered. They try to numb the pain with things like binge eating, drinking, or self-harm. The goal of IFS is not to get rid of these parts, but to understand them. To realize that every part, even the most destructive one, started out with the intention of protecting you. The therapy helps you access what IFS calls the self, the calm, compassionate, curious core of your being. From this place of self, you can listen to your parts, understand their fears, and heal the wounded exiles. You become the leader of your own inner family, bringing all your parts into harmony. Healing from trauma is a journey. There is no magic pill, no single technique that works for everyone. It is about restoring a sense of ownership over your body and your mind. It is about finding ways to become calm and focused. It is about learning to be fully alive in the present. And it is about daring to connect with others, to find your voice, and to realize that you are not alone. As Bessel van der Kolk shows us, the human spirit is remarkably resilient. The body keeps the score, yes. But it also holds the key to our healing. By listening to its language, by befriending its sensations, and by gently guiding it back to a state of safety, we can finally come home to ourselves. Commentary. As we come to the end of our journey through The Body Keeps the Score, I find myself sitting with a profound sense of both gravity and hope. This isn't just a book about trauma. It's a book about what it means to be human. It's a map of our deepest vulnerabilities, but also a testament to our incredible capacity for resilience. For a young person standing on the threshold of life, this book offers a lesson that is absolutely essential. Your relationship with your own body is the foundation of your entire life. In a world that constantly pulls our attention outward, to screens, to achievements, to the opinions of others, van der Kolk calls us back home, to the inner landscape of our physical selves. He reminds us that our gut feelings, our heartbreaks, and our joys are not just metaphors, they are biological realities. Our bodies are constantly talking to us, sending us signals about what is safe, what is dangerous, what nourishes us, and what depletes us. The tragedy of trauma is that it deafens us to that inner voice. The most powerful lesson I take from this work is the shift from seeing trauma's symptoms as a sign of weakness or a moral failing to understanding them as brilliant, albeit painful, adaptations for survival. The rage, the numbness, the dissociation, these are not defects. They are the tools a desperate organism used to endure the unendurable. When we look at ourselves or others through this lens of compassion, everything changes. Blame gives way to curiosity. Judgment gives way to understanding. The question is no longer what is wrong with you, but what happened to you, and how did you survive? This book is a quiet revolution because it empowers us. It tells us that we have more control over our inner states than we ever thought possible. We are not simply at the mercy of our brain chemistry. Through simple, accessible practices like breathing, moving, and mindful awareness, we can literally change our brains. We can calm our own alarm systems. We can restore our sense of being in charge of our own ship. This isn't a message of weakness, it's a message of profound strength. So, how can you start applying these powerful ideas in your own life, right now? First, try this simple exercise. Just for the next 60 seconds, bring your full attention to your breath. Don't try to change it. Just notice it. Feel the air coming in, and feel it going out. Feel your feet on the floor. Feel the weight of your body in your chair. This simple act of noticing is the first step in what the book calls interoception, the awareness of your inner world. It's the beginning of befriending your body. Do this for just 1 minute a day. Second, practice the language of parts. The next time you feel a strong, overwhelming emotion, maybe anxiety before a test, or anger at a friend, instead of saying "I am anxious" or "I am angry," try saying to yourself, "A part of me feels anxious." This simple shift in language creates a tiny bit of space. It reminds you that you are not the emotion. You are the one who is noticing the emotion. You are the calm, curious self at the center, capable of leading all your parts. And third, move your body with intention. Trauma traps us in immobility and fear. The antidote is action. This doesn't have to be a formal yoga class. It can be going for a walk and paying attention to the feeling of your feet hitting the pavement. It can be stretching in the morning and noticing which muscles feel tight. It can be putting on your favorite song and allowing yourself to dance for 3 minutes. Any action that makes you feel powerful, present, and alive in your own skin is an act of healing. That was a summary of The Body Keeps the Score by Bessel van der Kolk. We've touched on some of the major landmarks of this incredible work today, but I have to be honest with you, a summary is like looking at a map of a beautiful country. The map can show you where the mountains and rivers are, but it can never replace the feeling of actually walking the trails, breathing the air, and swimming in the water. The real magic of this book is in the stories, the detailed science, and the profound sense of compassion that unfolds page after page. This summary is designed to help you decide if this is a journey worth taking. If anything we've discussed has sparked a sense of recognition or curiosity in you, I encourage you to pick up a copy. Reading it isn't just about gaining information, it's an experience that can genuinely change the way you understand yourself and the people around you. Also, if you found this exploration valuable, I'd be grateful if you would like this video and subscribe to the channel. It helps us reach more curious minds like yours and ensures you won't miss our next deep dive into another life-changing book. Let's continue this journey of learning and growing together.